welcome to our talk today on cancer, the big fat problem. I welcome everybody here, especially those from around the country who've signed in on actually this my first webinar ever. So it's very, very exciting. We're sitting here at Walida Pharmacy in Bryanston, and we're going to be talking about cancer, the big fat problem. I'm going to be sharing with you today a lot about what I find in practice, what's happening, what I see, what's affecting the population, and in fact really the world. So it's very, very important stuff today. And just to kick off with, for those of you who don't know me, I am a nutrition consulting pharmacist, and I specialize in regenerative nutrition consulting, which means I look at regenerating the DNA and the cells and moving forward from that point of view, in particular looking at the frequency and activity of our cellular activity. And that forms the basis of today. I'm going to be looking at raising cellular activity in connection with the big fat problem. When we have a look at cancer, cancer really is abnormal cells. And we don't want to actually bring any fear into this aspect at all, because once we finish today, we'll understand exactly what abnormal cells really are, and that there's no need to bring fear. I find people really bring in a lot of fear when it comes to talking about cancer. And what's really happening is we have some abnormal cells. I'm going to look at the causes. I'm going to look at the nutritional support, both preventative and if you do find you have an abundance of abnormal cells. We all have the abnormal cells. It's just when the balance tips, that's when we need to be obviously aware of it. And there's so much on how to kill cancer cells. And the point of the matter is really is why they're there in the first place. And let's put in some preventative measures to stop that happening. So we'll do the cause of the nutrition, and then I'm going to share with you the Budwig protocol. Joanna Budwig is actually a pharmacist, biochemist, and she spent a lot of time researching fat and its effect on the body, and in particular on the liver. So if we have a look at the first slide, what I have here, just some facts, just to put things into place. 1 in 2 people these days are being diagnosed with chronic illness, be it heart disease, be it diabetes, be it cancer. I work both here at Walida and also at the Advanced Integrated Medical Center, and literally 1 in 2 people is being diagnosed. So that's 50% of the population. 30 to 50% of the people will get cancer. They will have the abnormal cells. If you have a look at the fertility rates of humanity, really, they're very poor. There's lots and lots of inflammation. When we look at healing, actually inflammation is the biggest thing we want to reduce. So when we have a look at nutrition, in particular, that's what I focus on, is reducing inflammation and eating the right foods that are going to support us. When we talk about inflammation and the blood, we're talking about red blood cells that are glutinate when there's inflammation. When a red blood cells all stick together, there's not enough surface area to carry oxygen and nutrition to the cells. So we want to avoid inflammation at all costs. We're going to be looking at microbial infections in the area of the superbugs, because this is really key. The microbes are really key to what we're talking about with the abnormal cells, and I'll explain what happens. We're going to be looking at the role of toxins, heavy metals, chemicals, insecticides, and the creams and things we use in our home, and then nutrition. So, having said that as a kind of a basis, my favorite terms really are that we are the ancestors of an endangered species, really, and how we're going to change this legacy that we leave our children, so that we can reclaim our health, our lives, and our future. If we had a look at any other species, an animal species, a plant species, or whatever, where 50% of the species was dying, I think you would have quite a number of professors and very specially trained people examining and inquiring why 50% of a certain species was dying off. Fertility rates, infections, whatever the case is. We don't really have that. We just carry on. We're just carrying on, and the percentage of people getting ill is just getting higher and higher and higher. So we really need to have a look at our future and the future of who we really are. Okay, in terms of what is cancer, we all have the abnormal cells, as I said to you, and it's our body and our immunity business and job to go and clear those and retain a steady balance, a blood pH of 7.4 and a nice alkaline body. That is the job of our immune systems. But when there is too much toxins, too many bacteria, the balance tips. Also, when there's too much stress, the balance tips, and we find that the life force of the cells and or the area gets withdrawn. When that life force is gone, the vibration is gone, the activity of those cells in that organ are gone, and that becomes a very big problem because we added to that, we find that there's acidity. So the body becomes acidic, the cell vibration reduces, and hypoxia means lack of oxygen. So when there's inflammation and the red blood cells all come together, we find that we can't get enough oxygen to the area. Some people aren't drinking enough, they dehydrate, so we have dehydration happening as well. So you can imagine the cells trying to operate properly with toxins inside them, bacteria around them, not enough oxygen, not enough water, a compromised immune system which is trying to beat all the bugs and everything. The blood's getting thick, the whole system becomes compromised. And this is what I'm seeing in my daily practice. I'm seeing quite shocking results, I have to say. Most people are presenting with many dehydration and not enough oxygen. Many people with fat deposited in the liver, fat in the blood. As soon as there's fat in the blood becomes more viscous, and it becomes harder for the blood to move through the vessels, harder for it to carry the oxygen and the nutrients to the sites, to the little cells. So I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing lots of people walking around in a pre-diabetic state, which also then leads to abnormal balances within the body in terms of the blood levels and food and oxygen. So this is what's really happening. You have a little cell that's down. Okay, it's got no life force, it's got no cloud around it, and it's got very little integrity. Generally, it's damaged. You'll find that people are eating too much saturated trans fats. There's lots of free radicals being formed, and those kind of free radicals damage the cells, damage our DNA, damage our heart, and cause lots of problems. And that's when the balance tips. So we then get abnormal cells, and we have to have a look at specifically repairing the cell and the vitality of the cell. And I'm leading towards our practical demonstration, which I'm going to share with you in a minute. So what are the causes of these abnormal cells? Let's just get that out. First of all, then you get pathogens in the blood. So we are exposed to toxins on a daily basis. What we eat, what we drink, what's in our food. Pathogens means toxins. It could be heavy chemicals, metals, it could be insecticides, and also the chemicals in our home. And then a researcher, Gunther Enderling, found that there are proteins in the blood that modify and shift according to the toxin that we've been exposed to and become bacterial pathogens, fungal or even yeast pathogens. Blood adjusts to the toxin that it's been exposed to, and however we've got that toxin in, and we then form a pathogenic microbe, which enters the red blood cells, grows inside the red blood cells. Now the red blood cells, remember, are moving all over our entire body, and then enter into the cells themselves. They go through. So once these microbes are inside the cells, William Russell in 1890 said that these little microbial pathogens undergo something called pleomorphism. And that is when they can shift. They can shift from a bacteria to a fungus to a yeast anytime they like. So when we're trying to actually kill the cancer cells, kill the bacteria, whatever, this bacteria will shift into a fungus, it will shift into a yeast. And this happens actually, they found, it happens every 6 days, but in a lab, it happens actually every 3 days. So you're getting the shift in the pattern of the microbe or the form of the microbe. Okay, very clever. So the toxin comes in, the protein in the blood shifts and it becomes a pathogen, okay? And then that pathogen shifts, it pleomorphs. Okay, so we've got all of that. And then when it's in the cell, it reduces the energy of the cell. We get a low cell energy where Otto Warburg found that the ATP, which is the energy in the mitochondria, is greatly reduced. Now, these are all conditions that create an abnormal cell, right? Because now that cell's got to divide normally. Now, how's it going to do that when it hasn't actually got the integrity and it's got all these other things inside it? If the microbes inside the cancer cells are killed, the cancer cell will revert to a normal cell. So that's what we've got to try and do. We've got to try and do that and then stop them happening. Royal Rife in 1930 found that harmonic resonance frequencies actually will cause the abnormal cells to burst, to be cleared out of the body, or they will revert back into a normal cell if they're not that damaged. So the microbes in the cell partially block this formation of energy in the cell. You see, so we've got to get them out. We can't have them in there. They come actually as a result of heavy metals and chemicals. They do the parasites. They come and do their job. They're coming actually to help and clean. And when the host environment is very acidic and low, compromised immune system, insufficient nutrients and everything, they actually stay. And as more and more heavy metals and toxins come into the body, so they multiply and they divide because it's a nice place to stay. So that's what's happening there. And then, of course, what happens is in the field of epigenetics, the DNA, our genetic structure of the microbe that's there, mixes with our DNA and shifts it and turns a certain genes off. And that's where you hear about the terms about genes being turned on and turned off. Okay, so that's what really happens. That's what's happened. The body's got out of balance. It's been exposed to toxins. Bacteria formed inside us. They've entered, carried to the normal other cells of our bodies. They've entered inside. That abnormal DNA from the pathogen has gone into and mixed with our DNA. It's reduced the energy in the cell, and the vitality of the cell is reduced, and also the integrity, the structure of the cell, which is very, very important. Okay, so how are we going to remedy that? How are we going to remedy this? We're going to look at, first of all, cleansing and detoxing the body and exposing ourselves to as little as possible of environmental chemicals and chemicals in our homes. So obviously, we're going to stop the source being chemicals. Some of them we've got no control of, obviously, but then I'll come to that because we're going to raise our immunity and develop like a stress protection field around us. So we're first of all going to detox, okay, and get rid of the chemicals and the parasites and the microbes. And then we're going to have a look at optimum nutrition, making sure that we're eating nutrient-dense food, which I'll explain to you in a moment. Making sure our body's alkaline, the pH of the blood is 7.4. If the pH of the blood is not 7.4, the blood will pull calcium, magnesium, potassium out of the tissues and the bones to balance itself. We will die if the blood's not of 7.4. So that's critical, and we need to reduce the inflammation. Some of the foods we're eating, some of the processed foods, some of the trans fats in the form of heated fats, they form free radicals, and they're dangerous in our body, and they form lots of inflammation. Obviously, then there's a lifestyle effect as well that we're going to need to look at specifically. And we're talking about adequate sunshine, exercise and movements, water, air, sufficient sleep. Our social interaction, very, very, very important, especially when we're eating. I find many, many people have got not enough digestive enzymes being secreted and not enough movement in the bowel and in fact, the small intestine and even the stomach. And so we're eating on the go. We're not conscious of what we're doing. The enzymes aren't being secreted, so the food's not getting digested properly. So even though we might be avoiding chemicals on one level, we're not actually paying attention to the food we're eating and how we're eating it. And it needs to be in a social environment because that's really when the microbes inside me are interacting with the microbes inside you. And because the microbes at the end of the day are the ones that are really doing the digestion. And their secretions are what we absorb. So they're very, very important. And we need to enhance the microbial colonies in our body to develop a high, strong immune system. And this slide here will show us, when people come and see me, I can pick up and see exactly. I use a resonance analyzer, which is electromagnetic resonance frequencies, where you pick up the frequencies of the different organs and tissues and fluids in our bodies. So we've got to really, really improve that. And what I've brewed, in fact, I've got a toolkit here that I've developed in terms of healing and getting well. And everything is sustainable and available. So it's not like we have to import things from all over the place. So this is a microbiome reset brew that I make. It's biological microbes, which you get a stock from Japan, which has a certificate of analysis. And that means that it doesn't come with any pathogens to start with. It's all the beneficial microbes. And this is what we take to increase the colonies inside our guts, insofar as beneficial bacteria, fungi, and yeasts are concerned. Because you see, very few of the bacteria, fungi, and yeasts are actually pathogenic, actually do harm. Maybe even 10% maybe. So what we want to do is we want to reinforce our army, if you like. We want to reinforce the microbes so that our immune system can be really strong. So that is what that is for. Then we have a look at the toxicity. And there we would look at specifically detoxifying the body of things like heavy metals, insecticides, and chemicals. And there are ways to do that. And chlorella is a really good example. Chlorella will split the heavy metals off. And we use that in connection with an iodine when the iodine binds the site. So once the heavy metal is split off from the site, then iodine comes in and binds that site really tightly. So future heavy metals can't come in. You see, so we're blocking the ability for heavy metals to enter into our cells. We've reinforced our gut with microbes, and now we're removing the heavy metals, the insecticides, the chlorine, the bromine, and we cut with chlorella, and we're coming in and we're blocking the site with iodine. Does that make sense? Okay. And then we're also going to have a look at the same time getting rid of and cleansing the liver. Once we've done a heavy metal cleanse and a parasite cleanse, which is very important, because wherever there's heavy metals, wherever they're concentrated, be it the pancreas causing diabetes, be it the liver causing detoxification, insufficiencies, and so on, there will be the parasites, because they come to do the cleaning. They come to actually heal the body. If you've got undigested food, you will find worms in your gut because they come and help. You see, so the parasites need to go to, and there's a whole number of parasite cleanses, from wormwood and cloves and walnut hull to all sorts of types of parasite cleanses. So I recommend a heavy metal cleanse and a parasite cleanse. Thereafter followed by the liver cleanse, the normal one with the Epsom salts and olive oil and grapefruit. So if you want to know about those exact cleanses, I'll speak to you about those afterwards. So we've reinforced the gut, we've got the heavy metals out, we've got the parasites out. We've now done the liver cleanse. All right, so a whole lot has been removed from us already. The liver is now in a position where it can actually do its detoxing. The liver's got it's a major organ. They actually call it the father of all the organs, the Chinese do, because it detoxifies the body, and also it secretes bile, which metabolizes fat, which is an important point in terms of today. Okay, so it's got a very important function. And if it's not detoxing and it's overloaded, it becomes a storage vehicle for fat. So you can just imagine this liver could be 20 centimeters by 12 by 10 easily, huge, with these huge pockets of rancid oil, heavy metals, parasites lodged in it. How can it actually do its job? And that's what happens, that's what triggers the weight on factor. But let me also just tell you that I see people with fatty livers and livers that are compromised, that are not detoxing. You can be thin, tall, short, large, and I will find that there's a fat problem. Because our diet, the fat that we consume, 43% above, called percentages, is in the trans fat state. It's heated fat. Or if it's not heated, you've gone and bought a cold pressed oil, olive oil, flaxseed oil, whatever from the shop that is in a see-through container, a see-through glass. If it's see-through, how is it ever going to cope with the lights? So there's light in a shop, there's light coming through the windows. These oils are very, very, very sensitive to light and heat, and they're going to oxidize and they're going to transform into a trans fat. So every time you eat out, every time you eat a processed food, there is a trans fat in it. The fat has oxidized. Okay, and then if your liver is compromised, your liver starts storing it, and there is not enough bile being secreted. It can't digest the fat that is there, and the whole movement through your gut, the peristalsis, the absorption and everything is broken down, completely compromised. And your brain then gets affected as well. In the same way, your brain will get affected if you don't have enough microbes, because there's a direct link between the microbes to the brain. So this is all about clear thinking. Anybody here done a liver detox before? Right, you will see that you have a very nice absolute clarity of thought after liver detox, because you've got rid of the junk, and the liver can then detox in a normal way. You will lose weight. People come to me to lose weight. One of the ways of losing weight is to detox and purify the liver. Once you've got that happening, the bile gets secreted and the fat can be metabolized and either used or excreted out of the body. Does it make sense? Okay, so toxicity is a big one. All right, and then we have a look at raising the nutritional. Let me just go there, and that's a toxicity. Let's just go to the nutrients and why the nutrients are so low. And most of you know, it's a question of soil fertility. So over the last 50 odd years, the concentration of minerals and oil in the soil has declined considerably, on average 76%. Some trace elements like copper are reduced by even, I think there's over 90%. Every single disease is related to mineral deficiency. So we're starting off with the basis of our soil, which grows our food, being depleted. Okay, that's a big problem. Also, farming methods have increased the amount of chemicals and insecticides and things that are in the soil and that we are consuming. Every single person that I measure on my resonance machine has got some form of insecticide frequency in them. Most people moderately abnormal. That's really high. It's poison, it's a toxin. So we're consuming it, we're not washing our veggies properly, we're consuming it, and then we know then the parasites come, the blood changes, the parasites all come in, they come to the area wherever that's going to get lodged, fat forms around that chemical, and the parasites all live there. And then that organ becomes compromised. It could be the pancreas. Even behind diabetes, there is a toxicity problem, a heavy metal something, and there's a bacterial, viral, fungal problem as well. So we really need to detox, and we really need to put in the right kind of fat and the right nutrients. Okay, so vitamins and minerals are essential. Many people are deficient in them. If you are, the actual processes to produce energy and to produce neurotransmitters is reduced, because you need the vitamins to do that. You need vitamin D, you need the coenzymes, you need folic acid. So that's very important. We need to have the right fats consumed in the right form, and I'm going to speak about that a little bit later. Because if we don't, the liver gets fat, the lymph gets blocked, the blood becomes viscous, we start getting fibrous tissue getting formed, we then get lumps, and we get cysts with abnormal cells. See, so it's very easy. Does it sound, am I making it quite simple? I hope so. All right, so you want to have the right amount of protein, not too much. Too much protein is aging and it damages the kidney. All right, and when the kidney's compromised, we're not eliminating protein. Then the right amount of carbohydrates, and this is not the talk in terms of fat, protein and carbohydrates, it is about fat, but also we consume far too many refined carbohydrates. By that I mean refined white maize and wheat and those kind of products. And those products spike our blood glucose, which is basically a precondition for abnormal cells. Okay, and then we're not really getting enough enzymes in our body. Enzymes you get from raw food. Basically, that's where the raw food is. But the more processed your food you eat and the more cooked your food is, the less the enzymes are there. So you draw from your body, you draw the metabolic enzymes in. Those enzymes that are necessary again for cellular activity, metabolism of or energy and all those things, neurotransmitters. So we can't pull those enzymes in. So sometimes with the probiotic, I'll use an enzyme to go with it for a month or two, just to give the body that boost, like your husband who's not well. For a typical example, we need to raise his microbes, we need to give him a little bit of enzymes to get the cellular activity happening, get the junky food out that might be there, whatever debris might be there. And believe me, we've got debris. If anyone's ever done strong detoxes, we've got lots of debris. We could have between 5 and 20 kilos packed inside here, that's just debris. Lovely for parasites to live in. And then we nutrify them. So that's what we're going to be doing. Okay. And antioxidants very important as well. Mainly the colored foods, green juices, berries, important. Okay, let's just stop right there. Antioxidants, if we don't have enough antioxidants, those free radicals that are formed from the trans fats circulate around our body. They bump into the white blood cells, the red blood cells, our normal cells, the DNA. They get into the cell, they disrupt the DNA further, and including our heart as well. So very important. An antioxidant has a free electron. It's going to give. A free radical is missing an electron. If you think of your science lectures with the nucleus and the proton in the middle with the circles of electrons on the outside, an antioxidant is missing one. I mean, it has one to gain, and a free radical is missing one. So match, perfect, leave our body alone. So sometimes we suggest, obviously nutrition-wise, that maybe for a month or two, that some form of antioxidant is also administered. In other words, to go mark up those free radicals quickly before they damage the DNA further. Once we damage the DNA, we've got big problems because the genes switch off and we age and all sorts of things like that. So I'm saying as a regenerative nutrition consultant, we can shift this. We can actually change this in a matter of 3 to 5 months. We can get rid of the fat out of the liver and we can start operating properly. So very important. I have some nutrient-dense food for the future, which I'll show you in a moment. Okay, this side is really busy and it's kind of late to me, but it's absolutely full of things, herbs, naturally available all around us where cancer that have an effect on cancer cells. Okay, be it directly food, be it medicinal mushrooms, be it bee pollen, royal jelly and propolis, be it frankincense, be it myrrh, essential oil. Who watched the Truth About Cancer, the series? Did you watch the Truth About Cancer series, John? Okay, so all of those things kill cancer cells, and that's perfect because if you are abnormal, we want to do that, but they also have a preventative effect. You see, so in this world of chaos and toxins where we live and so on, and the stress and things where we're living, we want to have things that prevent the cells from taking. So there's a whole lot of them. And in particular, I just want to mention a few which I've developed as a toolkit. One of them is medicinal mushrooms, and you can see a whole range of things there. And medicinal mushrooms will contain things like chaga mushroom, reishi, coriolus, maitake, shiitake, lion's mane, and cordyceps. And a lot of you know about them because they are highly, highly intelligent, and they are food as medicine. And that is what we need to start having a look at. We can have our salads, we can have our organic this and organic that, but we need to be supplementing with high-frequency foods that raise their cellular activity and have an action on abnormal cells, abnormal immunity, and start boosting us. Okay, so medicinal mushrooms definitely work on heart and liver and kidney and abnormal cells. Okay, they will dissolve them. So do the bee products. If we have a look at the bee mix, which I have, containing pollen, propolis, and raw jelly. Propolis and raw jelly are probably the two main anti-cancer agents at the moment. They will dissolve cancer cells, abnormal cells. That is what they do. And there's probably about 20 other very important things. Fertility, allergies, complete protein, enzymes. There's a million of things that they do as well. Okay. Then there's also the algae, which we have a mix here with blue-green algae, chlorella, and spirulina. And those in particular will boost our immunity, as the mushrooms will and the bee pollen will as well. But the blue-green algae stimulates white blood cell production in the bone marrow. So that's amazing. And they all have wonderful effects also on the brain and the neurotransmitters. Very, very important to balance the brain there. So the algae are incredibly important. Their food is medicine. And then the adaptogenic herbs like the ginseng and the astragalus and foti and ashwagandha and shatavari and those kind of things, which many of them on this previous slide that we saw, those are very good for stress and fatigue and general tonics. They also balance us. Ginseng you saw on that previous slide, they also kill cancer stem cells. So all of these things you can't really go wrong, and they become medicine for us, and they work inside our body very intelligently. Then there's also a substance that I make called ormus, which is orbitally rearranged monatomic elements, and they is this 3D suspension of gold and silver, the platinum solids, and they are on a form that we should be getting from the plants, okay? And we're not because of the soil fertility. Same as something like fulvic acid, we're not getting enough fulvic acid, which takes nutrients and oxygens to the cells. We're not getting enough fulvic acid, we're not getting enough ormus. So when I treat cancer patients that are really ill with something like ormus, what happens is suddenly all the organs are getting these metals in the form that they should have been getting them in the right way. And then the body starts coming into balance, cysts and lumps start getting dissolved. In fact, they do. One of my patients came in, I saw the mammogram, I saw the spots where the lumps were, absolutely identified. 4 weeks later, on almost and fulvic acid and nutrient-dense foods and lots of probiotics, that cyst had vanished, completely vanished, couldn't be found. We used 3 cameras, gone. They couldn't believe. They said, Jane, what are you doing? So these are the intelligent foods that I'm sharing with you today, and we're going to get to that. Just hold on. But I think this is important because we've got to understand it's not just about killing the cells. It's about reinforcing our body so that we can actually operate in a sustainable way and not incur this kind of dead situation. Because if you've got abnormal cells, you're on an energy dead situation, and your cells are spinning in the wrong direction as well. We need to lug ourselves back to an optimum functioning, an optimum cell frequency, with optimum nutrition, so we can fight heavy metals. So that when we eat, we gain energy. When we eat, we don't lose energy, we actually gain energy. And that's what I help people with. And then also we've got essential oils. Okay, because essential oils work similarly to the fulvic acid and the ormus in that there are no boundaries. Okay, they basically disperse in our body to where they need to be. And they will, all of these things that I've talked about here, actually don't kill all the cells, because many cancer therapies kill all cells regardless. These are clever and intelligent, and they go and scavenge and point out and find out the ones where those are abnormal or battling. Okay, and they either fix them or they destroy them. So that is what we're talking about here. And we have very, very, very special essential oil mixes containing things like frankincense and myrrh to deal with cancer cells. And we also have very special mixes with like a lemon oil base and other oils inside them that actually go in as a fat that's in the liver and in the blood. Because what I found is, just getting back to that, is that people will do green juices. I've even got one patient, green juice for a month, literally went on a 28-day juice fast. That blood, the fat in the liver and the fat in the blood stayed the same. It never budged. So that's what's called metabolic syndrome. Okay, and that means you need something to come in there and dissolve that fat. And the things that do that are things like an oil, essential oil with a lemon base and so on. Things like an ormus will do that, a fulvic acid will do that. Green tea extract, green coffee bean extract, acai berry will do that. And various other, milk thistle will do that. Red rice yeast will do that. And those are the kind of preparations that we would use in addition then to a healthy diet to go now dissolve the fat. So we're going to get rid of the toxins and the fat now, because this is a precursor, and this is why it's become a big fat problem. This is what we're trying to, what we wanting to avoid is this rapid growth of cancer cells, and we want to have an integrity there where every cell that divides is a pure and beautiful cell, because you've got a cell that then goes like this, the nucleus splits and it divides into 2. And where there's a problem in that division, if it hasn't happened properly, if let's say the membrane of the original cell is not perfect, then that content spews out into the interstitial fluid, into the blood or whatever, and becomes dangerous. So that integrity of the cell on a physical level needs to be very, very, very healthy for that proper cell division. And the proper fat will do that, which I'm going to explain to you now. This is now, everybody, the actual, the crux of why you're here. We're talking about fat now. I'm giving you a very good background, okay, into why cells become abnormal. And now what I'm going to share with you is a way to prepare your fats and your oils so that your body can rapidly uptake it and use it as fuel, because this is where we get our fuel from, okay. So some fats are saturated and unsaturated. A saturated fat is solid at room temperature, so it would be your butter, it would be your coconut oil, for example. Also, you get a short, medium, and a long-term fatty acid. The short-term ones is definitely a coconut oil. A medium-term would be your olive oils and your flax oils. A long-chain fat would be an animal fat, and those are the most unstable. The medium chains are also unstable, but the most unstable are the long chains, and you get plant and animal fats. So here is the summary of the fats. Can you put it on there? Okay, so here we go. You can see there in terms of saturated and unsaturated fats, right, are broken down into saturated. Monounsaturated means there's one bond that's unsaturated, there's one space. A polyunsaturated fat, there's lots of spaces. That's why it's more unstable. Okay, and then the saturated fats, which is a long chain, is will be your animal fats. So down the last column, you've got examples of all of these oils, and then how stable they are and what state they are. So basically, this is very important here, because the more unstable an oil is, the more it's going to go into that state, and the more it's going to become a free radical. Dangerous to all the cells, aging, and disrupts all the cells, the big cell disruptor. Okay, so this is what we look at. So therefore, if you were going to take an oil of this chart, which oil stands out as being like an ideal oil? Flaxseed, right? Or coconut oil, because coconut oil is in this ready form for us. Okay, it's saturated, it's the most stable. Okay, it's solid at room temperature. So and also coconut oil, because it's got a short chain, that's the key about coconut oil. It's absorbed like this, and you get more energy than the coconut oil requires to digest it. So when I said to you about raising our vitality, coconut oil gives us energy. Less energy is required to digest it. Okay, but there's an even better oil in terms of free electrons and electrons that are going to really boost our vitality. Coconut oil is very special and very precious, and it's got microbes in it, and it's got hormone precursors, and it's very special. We use it. Another one is flax oil, and this comes into the discussion where Joanna Budwig, who is a pharmacist, biochemist, studied medicine, and she looked specifically at the role of fats and what happens with fats. And she found that the flaxseed oil, from an energetic point of view, those electrons that are spinning in that outer circle have the highest frequency of all the oils. And she looked at it and she worked out a way to make it to absorption by our body. And the first thing she did is she had a look at the miscibility of the fat in the blood. Now, we all know if you put olive oil onto water, it's not going to mix. Coconut oil, even butter, it's not going to mix. So we need to, some way, what she looked at was finding a way to make the flax oil mix with the blood. So if she did that, that oil would be bound in the blood, and it would go straight to the cells and deliver unbelievable amounts of energy and fuel. Because if you take in olive oil, animal fat, whatever, it's not bound in the blood. And this is actually key for people who are listening in as well. If the oil is not bound in the blood, if it's free in its oil state, it's going to form free radicals even inside us. So I will get vegetarians and vegans coming in to see me who eat no animal fat. They have a fatty liver and they have fat in their blood. From the olive oil and the normal flax oil and the other oils that they've been eating. Okay, so we think it's all fine and we're taking in olive oil, but actually it is forming free radicals inside it because it's unbound. And we're generally having way too much, you see. So the reserves are being stored as well. So we've got to revive the cell energy, which is what Joanna Budwig looked at. And we've got to repair the cell. And flaxseed oil does that. Flaxseed oil has got all the essential fatty acids in the right form, in the right concentration, especially omega-3. Because those processed fats that we are eating are heavy in omega-6, which is the dangerous one. So we need omega-3, which is found in flaxseed oil. Flaxseed oil bought in a bottle, in a dark bottle, manufactured without undue exposure to light and oxygen. Okay. She had a look at that and she mixed it with cottage cheese. There's a sulfur molecule in the cottage cheese, and that sulfur molecule saponifies the fat and makes it liquid. When we mix it, when I do the demonstration just now, you will see that the oil becomes completely mixed into the cottage cheese. And she used the cottage cheese because of its high sulfur content. You can also use a quaff, which is something that you make at home with your own low-fat milk, and you put the kefir granules inside it if you want to, otherwise the milk will happen anyway. And we're already going to quaff, and then you use that quaff, which is also got very high sulfur. Okay, is this making sense? Yeah? You're all with me, right? So we're really now in the deep part of this presentation today. we've got to make the fat soluble. And the low-fat cottage cheese blended with the organic flaxseed oil does that. You blend it in a ratio of 2 to 1. So it would be 2 tablespoons of cottage cheese to 1 tablespoon of flaxseed oil. Or like a tub of a low-fat cottage cheese. It must be low-fat or no fat even, because there's no sense in eating a whole lot of full cream cottage cheese, because you're going to be loading yourself with these saturated fats which are stored in the liver, which is exactly what we're trying to get rid of. So if you do this and it doesn't budge in a month, rest assured you'll be using full cream, which is all very nice and tasty, but so is another one. For a month or 2 months or 3 months, depends how long and how dense the liver is. You want to have no animal fats, and you want to have no unbound olive oil or anything else. You only want to have cold pressed coconut oil and flax in this bound form, because that is where it can travel straight through to the cells. It gets through the tiny little vessels, repairs the membrane around the cell, and goes into the cell and raises the cell activity. It brings in the energy so that that cell can function. So this is really the crux of where we are. Okay, and I think most of this I've really said. The flaxseed oil is electron rich, and electron is where the energy is. Okay. It increases the blood flow. Most people, I said to you already, have got a thick blood. It increases the blood flow. It increases the cell's ability to absorb oxygen, re-energizes the cell's nucleus, repairs cell membranes, restores healthy cell division, which I spoke to you about. It's very, very important. Okay, so that's what that will do there. And just some further things as well. What I said to you earlier, when the oxygen threshold in the cell is reduced to a certain level, and that's what is measured as a cancer cell. It takes hold of it, and then all the saturated animal fats, we need to not have those lean organic meat if we're going to be using meat, and avoid the normal salad dressings. And then just to end off there on this one is to have a look at this little fine capillary action. That's when the flaxseed oil is dissolved into the blood. It's water soluble, and it just goes straight through to where we need it. And Joanna Budwig actually raised people off their cancer bed using this method to get the electron-rich flaxseed oil to the cells. She literally improved the cellular activity to such an extent that she raised them off their beds. Okay, so essential fatty acids are what is contained in the flaxseed oil. Any questions so far? Because I'm going to do the demonstration now and show you how to do that. And then, hopefully from today onwards, your accumulation of fats will have reduced. And as I said to you in the beginning, nearly every single person is coming in. So that's almost 100%. Whether you're vegan, whether you're tall, whether you're short, whether you're anything, I'm getting that because of our diet. So because the vegans and them are all using unbound olive oil, cold pressed, and me included, because I got a big fright a while ago, and I realized, and I thought, right, I'm going to research this and actually come to the terms of exactly what's happening. So I'm going to show you now how to do that, and then I'm also going to use the nutrient-dense foods as well, because then you are also transporting those foods into the vital organisms and metabolizing them into. So we're going to be looking at transporting beautiful omega-3 electron-rich flaxseed oil to the cell area, which is the low-fat cottage cheese. And I must just tell you that if you want your blood sugar balanced, a meal using a low-fat cottage cheese with flax oil in it, which is blended, absolutely does this. You get an absolute feeling of serenity, complete calmness. So you can imagine now you've cleaned your liver, and you've done all these things, and you've got the essential oils inside you, the frankincense, and almonds, and all these things, and you're now eating food that's actually also medicine. Okay, it's looking after everything, really fragile. Okay, so we start off with taking our container, and you take your flax seeds. Now it's very important, we're going to add flax seeds to the mixture as well, but it's important to actually grind your flax seeds right then and there while you're busy, because what happens is, I already showed you the quick oxidation. So don't go and buy freshly ground flax seed, it's just useless. what's going to happen there is you're going to consuming rancid fat. And the cottage cheese can't reverse that. So we will grind them as we need them. And then they get stored in the fridge in a very dark color. Okay, very, very important. So we just need to switch this on. Okay, anyone's got one of these Nutritionists, it happens really quickly. And we've got the seed ready. I'm going to put that aside. Okay. The flax seed itself contains lignans, which is very beneficial for abnormal cells. So that's important. Then we're going to take our actual, the bigger one, the bigger jar, and we're going to make the mixture. So you would start off with what I said to you, low fat or no fat cottage cheese. You really need to hunt around and find this, or otherwise you need to make your own. Okay, and this is kefir. It has little granules inside it, and literally at this heat a day, and you have got kefir. Then what will happen is that a big thick band of white half is at the top, and the whey separates at the bottom. So you'll get a see-through yellow when you put at the bottom, which is the whey. You don't use that. You take off the part at the top. You leave your little granules on the side in the next container so that you make it for tomorrow. This is the best way because you can get low-fat raw milk. It's quite hard to find low-fat cottage cheese that's made with raw milk today. And why am I saying raw milk? Because raw milk has got the enzymes in it, and it's got the health of the milk and the intelligence of the milk. It hasn't been heat treated, which is damaged and denatured a lot of the molecules again. So this is what we call quark, and I just put a little cover over the top to keep it out of dust and things like that. So we're going to take our low-fat cottage cheese. You're going to put it in here. If you use cottage cheese, you would use a 2-to-1 ratio, which is what I'm saying. Okay, if you use the quark, you will use a 3-to-1 ratio because it's not as soft. There's not as much sulfur in it. Okay. And then, if anybody wants the actually the protocol, and also the listeners, I can send it to you. Just make sure I've got all the listeners' emails. I'll just get all of your emails. And then what I'll do is I'll send you this special salad spread that you put on and things like that to really make the food delicious. You put a salad dressing made with this. You make a salad dressing and you put turmeric and cayenne pepper and garlic and onion in it, and you can even use a low-fat yogurt for that. That salad gets digested, I'm telling you. And it's enjoyable. It's really, really, really enjoyable. In fact, this went down so well at my house that my architect decided to make it and ground up my kefir granule, my nice big fat kefir granule in the mixture. Okay, so there we have that. But I actually put too much in, sorry. Because what we're going to do is we're going to do. So here's your flaxseed oil. Once it's open, it must be kept in the fridge. So definitely in the dark. And it's also a good idea actually to shake it because of the lignans that you would find in the seed, a lot of them are. So it's a good idea to shake it anyway. But we don't necessarily need flaxseed all the time lignans because we are already putting our flaxseed in. Oops, right. So I'm going to put you can normally put between 2 and 5 tablespoons of flaxseed oil in a tub of cottage cheese. Depends on you. And I can't prescribe that because I don't know how much flour, I don't know how much you're running around. So that kind of thing you would moderate yourself. Also the amount of coconut oil that you need in a day. It could be 2 teaspoons a day, it could be 2 tablespoons a day. Depends on your energy needs. But I will say they fed cows coconut oil to fatten them up for production and they all got thin. So as I said to you, the energy gain from metabolizing coconut oil is far greater than it is to actually metabolize coconut oil. So you end up with energy credits. Same with this flaxseed oil now. So you need to put in however much you need. I've put in about probably 4 tablespoons into here. And now we take the blending part of this and we are going to now blend this. Okay, now this is very important. There's nothing else in here. Okay, this is like a chemical process almost, because we're going to make this oil that's sticking to the sides water soluble. Okay. About it. Right. So here we have, if it's too thick, you can put a little bit of whole milk into it. Now look at that. That is our cream, if you really want to talk about it. That is the best cream you're ever going to see. Okay, this is amazing. Okay, you tried it with that? Okay, okay. So now we take this, we take a spoon, and we put it into our bowl. So let's just say you can decide how much you want to eat. I'm doing a lot now because we've got an audience, but I would make about a cupful a day. Some of it I would use on my salad at lunchtime and in the evening, and other I would use in the morning, either on soaked seeds. It is much better to soak with the flax seeds as well. Let's just talk about that, because every seed has an enzyme around the outside, around the little seed. Okay, phytic acid, enzyme, digested enzyme inhibitor. And the reason for that is it's actually protecting the oil inside the seed from going rancid. Now, when we come to try and digest that seed, it's difficult for us because of that enzyme inhibitor. So it really takes a lot of energy, and most of the time the seed's not digested. We need to then, that is why we actually make our seed here and now. Okay, we would pre-soak it, and then we would grind it, pre-soak it, either way around, and then it's ready. Okay, there's no denaturing that's happening. So it's very important to pre-soak the seeds. So I would pre-soak the seeds, and then I would just ground them. And then what you can do then is you can put some on. And there again, depending on how much you like, you will then fold them in. So notice I didn't actually blend them, because they're already blended, and then you mix it in nicely. Okay, so now we're getting a really nice, beautiful mixture. Okay, so that's the basis. And then we will take our strawberries. And we'll put them in. Okay, let's just say you're going to have this for breakfast. Or you would use a small amount and more seeds. Some days you might use 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 tablespoons of this as your breakfast, and other days you might just use 2 tablespoons of your egg oil. 2 tablespoons of your really nice soaked seeds, or chia seeds, a nice chia seed mix or something like that. Okay, so then we're going to just make sure I'm getting enough strawberries for each person here. Okay, then you can also add some nuts. Now I use walnuts. I love walnuts. They look like the brain, and they're often for the brain. Okay, and then we can also get really fancy, and we can put some of the bee pollen mix in a powder form. We're going to put some of the powder in here. Okay, extra protein, extra the oil and the spirulina and the bee pollen, everything is in perfect consistency for us. That you don't have to worry about anything. And then it's also nice as a bit of a side berry, especially if you want some vitamin C. So I put some of that in as well. And it makes it nice and colorful. And you can carry on. You can put cacao powder. You can put the algae in. You can put ginseng in. Whatever colored, whatever you want to put in. And you just fold this in nicely. Oh, I forgot the main ingredients. Honey. Honey is actually a food, okay? And a lot about food and eating is the attention that we're given. If you pick this up and you say to yourself, wow, this is going to send my blood sugar up, it's going to be unhealthy for me, I'm going to put weight on it, that is what is going to happen. If you pick it up and you say, you know what, this comes from, I don't know how many bees made this, it's food from heaven, it's medicine, and I'm taking it in. It's full of enzymes. It's going to help digest my food. It's going to bind some of the foods together. It's going to do that for you. And honey is really, really food for the soul. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drizzle some honey over, and it's going to give us a little bit of sweetness as well. Oops. Right. And then we can mix this up, and then we're all going to have a taste. And this is going to be really a beautiful breakfast. As I said to you, you can eat it plain like this, or you can actually take 2 spoons of it and put it into your own pre-soaked seed mix with your own goji berries and all the other beautiful superfoods that you have. So that's what we're going to do. We're all going to have a taste now. But just before we do that, I want to end off and say to you all, are there any questions?
So you said that you made that up on your own make. You only make it also use that day.
Yes.
Use it another day.
You actually can. You can actually. No, you can. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can actually do that. And yes, and then you eat it throughout the day.
Do make it
This?
no,
So keep the grains. Oh, you can actually order them online. It's 160 Rand. Just Google and they deliver everything. And there's another site. It's called Culture Exchange on Facebook. And you can get scobies for kombucha, you can get kefir grains, you can get all sorts of things there. You just swap. So that's a great site as well to go to. Yeah. So I hope you all read that as well. That's Culture Swap on Facebook. So it's very important then, just in summary, okay, for our health, is to raise the microbial colonies in our guts, okay, reduce the amount of toxins that we are exposed to. The ones that we do have, we need to eliminate. Some of us were born with heavy metals from our parents even. They need to go because all they're doing is encouraging pathogens to come in and try and get rid of them for us. Get rid of the parasites as well. Okay. Feed us obviously the right proteins and the right carbohydrates, but in particular the right form of fats, which is coconut oil cold pressed and cold pressed organic flaxseed oil that is being saponified and made water soluble in the cottage cheese mixture. People who are vegan, you can read in the Budwig protocol, you can use other plant material which has a high sulfur content like garlic, onions, leeks, and so on, but you would need quite a lot of that to get the flaxseed oil in a proportion, but you could do that you could do as well. So that's the one way. And as Jan Budwig has found, was definitely assisted in stopping any more fat getting concentrated in the body and stored. And we use this method, and then what I found as I progressed with my patients is that we need to sometimes then use something else to go and dissolve and assist dissolve the oil, which would be the green tea, the essential oils, the humus, fulvic acid, Siberia as well, the milk thistle, to actually assist us in burning up the fat. And by the way, exercise is critical because exercise heats up fat. It heats us up and it heats the fat up and it's easier to remove. So and with that, I'm going to end. And thank you, listeners. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate your support. Okay, bye.
thank you.